Tune in next week for a much better episode. For now, though, courage.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 144. I am TFG and Mike, and I'm alone. I don't do solo shows very often, folks. I mean, I can sit here and, give an opinion piece on something if I'm angry or upset about something and things like that, but generally, I need a co-host to bounce off of or to lean into or whatever to get their opinion on top of my own. Steve Megatron is on vacation right now. So, well, he will be by the time anyone hears this. This is Robyn Hood month, the end of Robyn Hood month 2017. This is Robyn Hood Volume 4, Uprising. Generally, I've been having these episodes go for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not sure I can talk about 5 comics in 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not going to sit here by myself going through each panel like I would normally do with co-hosts. I almost want to wait until Steve gets back from vacation, but that would mean that the episodes would be out of order, and anyone that knows me knows that I hate, loathe, and just generally cannot stand when things are out of order. If I set something up to have a specific number order or whatever, I can move the stuff around that goes within those numbers, but those numbers have to go in order, and it just, oh God. So, Robyn Hood, Volume 4, Uprising, consists of issues 17 through 20, and the annual as well. Issue 17 was Red Death. This is all Pat Shand on writing, Roberta and Granada on art, with Salmet on colors and all of that. Except for the annual. The annual, Larry Watts returns and draws it. But issue 17 through 20 is the final run for Roberta. I love Roberta's art. I'm going to say that up front. I think it's very well done. In these final issues, more so issue 20 than any of the other 3, has the art in issue 20, and I'll get to it a little bit, but has an emotional openness to it, I think, and they have a lot of fun, which is good. You want a comic that, can tell a serious story, but at the same time have fun little bits in there and all that. I'm just going to run down my notes for 17 through 19, and then I will talk kind of more in depth on issue 20 and the annual. Issue 17 is called Red Death. Apparently that's the assassin. Apparently I missed that at the end of the episode, the end of the issue last time when we closed out with issue 16 in volume 3. Apparently I missed her name, but that's who because I remember Steve and I at the end of that podcast last week were like, what's her name? Who the heck is this chick? But apparently that's her name, Red Death. I did like how, Robyn and her future team had a nice little sit down. I love how Roberta designs each of the characters, an emotional resonance, an emotional openness. These are not hard line drawn characters. I like that with the Cabal, we finally get answers to why they're doing what they're doing. And then at the end of the issue, I liked that everybody had, that one last day of, do something, do whatever you want before we go into the fight. And at first I thought it was Armageddon-like, the 1998 Armageddon movie, but then I'm thinking, oh wait, no. I know what Pat Chan's going for here with everyone, go spend the last few hours you have with who you love. I'm like, oh, it's Angel, not Fade Away, the series finale of Angel, of course. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was great. With issue number 18, it's called Child of Darkness, and this is where Cindy comes back. First note for this one, of course Dracula's mansion is in Vegas. Of course. I mean, Sin City and vampires and all that. Of course vampires would be in Vegas. The Vegas vampires. There we go. And I most definitely can understand Robyn's hesitation in trusting Cindy, because let's face it, that bitch is crazy. Oh, Cindy the Psycho. Who knew Cinderella would be a psycho? Dang. I did like the cliffhanger in issue 18. I thought that was a really nice thing. And the cool thing for me here, folks, is, because as I told Pat in the interview, and I think I told him off air, the most recent interview that I did with him, I remember reading issues 17 and 18, but it had been so long since I read issues 17 and 18 the first time when I was reading this single issue style, that's what I was going to go for with this episode with Steve. If Steve was here, would be that, okay, so this is my natural reaction. This is my first reaction because I had not read it before. Whereas with the first 3 volumes of the ongoing, I remember reading them. I remember those moments, even though I still relive those moments in rereading them for the podcast now. But this is all new, all fresh. Again, issue 18 has amazing art. Roberta does an amazing job. And Selmet on the colors. The colors pop so much in this issue and in this series. Issue 18, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it was it's a nice evolution to the story. And it was a really great cliffhanger. As I was saying a moment ago, if I had been reading this month to month, I would probably be very much anticipating issue 19, and I still anticipated it and wanted to read it and things like that. But because I read this in the trade more so than the single issue, it's like, oh, okay, so just turn the page and boom, there's the cliffhanger kind of resolution. Issue 19 is called Into Glory, and this issue, whoa. This issue was great. We had all kinds of fighting. We had Avella's death. That was something I was not expecting. I was wondering where and how Avella and Marion and Sam and all these characters with Robyn and I was wondering how Avella was going to fit into the world of New York City that Pat Shand has created in the story. And she doesn't have to. Because, as I said, she dies and all of her power goes to Marion, which, again, is great. I think that's super amazing. That, Avella gave her power to Marion after she passed, or as she passed, or whatever. I think what I enjoy most about this issue is when Roberta and Selmet do the art and the coloring on the shadow character kind of things. Like, there are times when all you need is that character standing in the darkness. I mentioned this last time when Liesel and Robyn were tied to the chair when they got captured in the last trade. When you see them in silhouette, I love silhouetted / shadow shots in comics, specifically this series, because Roberta has done it so well with the outlines and using the light from the rest of each panel to highlight the shadow in the glass, I guess you could say. But yeah, so we get Into Glory. It's kind of like the final fight issue of the series. And it was so good. So good. I'm going to take a quick break here, folks, because I do want to go through issues 20 and the annual panel by panel. Issues 17 to 19 were amazing and awesome, and I love them. But issue 20 and the annual are by far... You don't really... I mean, I understand why Pat Shand did an annual, and I'm fine with that. I have no problem with an annual, as long as the annual makes sense to the story, and I knew Pat would do an amazing job with the send-off. If you stopped reading this series, if you were already reading this series at issue 20, you would be fine with that send-off. But the send-off in the annual is, wow, so good. So I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this talking issues 20 and the annual from Robyn Hood, the ongoing by Pat Shand. See you in a moment, folks.
We brought the entire convention center to the brink of an inter-genre geek war.
Okay, Michael, if we're going to tackle this podcast thing, we've got to do something really special. It has to be cool, daily, in audio form, and undetectable by radar. Something that screams summer. I know, let's do a Phineas and Ferb review podcast. We'll call it the Podcast Organization Without a Cool Acronym, or POWCA for short. What do you think?
I think if we're not careful, Candace is going to bust us.
You can find POWCA on the Geekcast Radio Network, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and all of the other methods you find podcasts.
We'll give you the whole seat, but you'll only need the head.
All right, folks, issue 20 in the annual. I tried going through this panel by panel, but I just can't. Issue 20 is a great send-off. I love the art in this issue. Roberta did amazing. Roberta and Salmon both are amazing here in the colors and the clean lines. The battle scenes are just, so good. Absolutely love those. My favorite two panels in this issue. No, absolutely not. These two panels are after they defeat the Four Horsemen and they try to come to a decision of how to contain them and sacrifices and shifts and all that stuff and everything else that the Cabal was doing in order to keep the Four Horsemen at bay and underground. And the two panels that Roberta does, they're chibi style characters of the Robyn Hood. It's Robyn Hood in her traditional, the way she looks, with chibi versions, and the very next panel is the chibi versions all have the Cabal masks on. I absolutely love that. I think that is so fun and funny. What a great quote-unquote ending to the series. I think Pat really pulled all the stops on the writing here. And Roberta's art was just killer. The characterization was all very well done. If you're really wanting something different in your comic book world, folks, go pick up this Robyn Hood series. Go pick up the series, the first series of Robyn Hood that Pat did. Everything came full circle. The villain had a hero turn. The heroes saved the day. And then they celebrated the night away. What I mean by the villain had a hero turn. Brendan Allen Sr., Brendan II's father, double-crossed everybody and, all that and everything else, and thought that was great, for him to save his son and everything else. I thought that was cool. Nikki's sacrifice, for the Pale, to be able to touch the Pale Rider. I didn't know. When we got the Nikki story in issue 16, I wasn't sure, the Tale of Rod, I wasn't sure how they were going to eventually solve the Rodder's problem. And here we have the Pale Rider, which is the incarnation of death. And Bob's your uncle, there you go. But such a great ending. I wasn't even sure if Pat was going to do an annual or anything like that after that. I think, celebrating the night away was a perfect way to end this comic. And then we get the annual Hard-Hearted. And this is basically Sam and Marion's wedding. But Robyn has to, she has to deal with the situation. But before we get to that, because she hasn't had her coffee yet. Oh, that poor maintenance guy. And, of course, Much is back. Anyone that remembers Much, he was one of the characters from Myst. Julia, Officer Gingrich, is now commissioner. So, apparently, a lot of time has passed between the end of issue 20 and the annual here. And then, Pat Shand is so damn evil. Why? Why zombie versions of the past characters? Oh, I wanted to strangle the man so much when I saw this. In a good way. Kind of, sort of, not really. But, seriously, I wasn't sure where this was going. And then the children of whatever the hell they are, the big-headed baby characters come back. But seeing zombie versions of Tuck and of Little John and Gisborne and all that, and I'm like, oh, God. Damn it, Pat, really? Zombies? I love the ending to this. The whole series was very well done. Pat Shan set out to tell an amazing story, and he did. I think this is really cool. We even kind of get a sort of cliffhanger-y ending with Robyn not really knowing what's next, but the fact that she and Marion are going to get through it together. Marion and Sam's wedding was a nice little feature to set the story around. I thought that was great. It makes me think of like how much time has passed since the beginning of the ongoing with issue 1 to the final issue here. Like, how much time in the Robyn Hood timeline have they been in New York? Has it been 2 years, 3 years? Because at the beginning of this, in Riot Girls, Marion had just met Sam. So I'm assuming they've been dating for at least 1.5 years before they got married. I could be wrong. I don't know. Pat, if you're listening, please comment and let me know. Overall, a very well done series for Pat Shan, Roberta Ingranata. Larry Watts' art on the annual here, it's so good. Absolutely love that Larry came back to do the annual. I think that was very, 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 very good call. I'm not sure if I will continue reviewing Zenescope stuff. I do know that they're doing, or they have been doing, a new series called Robyn Hood, I Love New York. I'm not sure if I want to read that or not yet. I may switch over to the Red Riding Hood books, because I like Brittany's character, and I want to see what adventures she gets into. So I may switch over to that, but I'm not sure how much else, other stuff of Zenescope's I'm going to be reading. As I said earlier, check out Pat Shan's Robyn Hood stuff. I will put a link to the original Robyn Hood month I did 2 years ago in this post. I may even create a Robyn Hood month 2017 post so you guys can get all the links to both Robyn Hood months. Not sure if I can make a whole month out of Red Riding Hood content. I probably could. I do know I want to talk the 6-issue 10th anniversary editions that Zenescope did with the characters. So there's that. Overall, Robyn Hood Volume 4 Uprising. It's nice and refreshing and interesting and crazy and fun and cool and all of that. Absolutely love everything. I would probably say that if I had any gripes about the last 5 issues of Pat Shan's Robyn Hood series is, if you're gonna curse, curse. Don't use, pound sign, @ sign to bleep a curse word. If you're gonna curse, curse. If you're not gonna curse, don't curse. That's just my own personal opinion on it, because I personally like hearing in my head a character saying, "Oh, damn it, what the hell?" Or, "I can't fucking believe you did that," or, whatever. "Oh, holy shit, what are we going to do now?" I love hearing that in my head because I can come up with how I think the character's voice sounds. And sometimes with the stuff muted with the signs and all that, it just doesn't have the same inflection. That's really the only gripe I have about this trade. It's a small nitpicky gripe, I know. Overall, Uprising, I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. There wasn't too much here that I didn't like at all. There's pretty much nothing here I didn't like. The art is great, the writing is amazing. Maybe I'll take a half point off for Pat Shan being the evilest writer in the world with bringing back zombie versions of the old characters, but that's just a little jibe. That's just a little whatever. Can you tell, folks, I'm not used to doing solo stuff anymore. I'm so used to playing off of co-hosts. I bet this is probably going to be the worst episode of the podcast in 5 years. Coming up next, it is the month of July, so you guys would have gotten 2 episodes the first week of July here. The Robin this episode, and then on the Saturday you would have gotten episode 145, which kicks off Jammin' July. That's right. We are talking about Gem for the final time, at least for now, here inside the pull bag. We're going to have a whole month of Gem comic coverage, starting with the Stingers arc, issues 19 to 23. And then we're going to talk about the 5-issue Misfits miniseries, which is episode 146. 147 will be the annual, along with the 24 to 26 Truly Outrageous arc of the ongoing. And then episode 148 will be Gem Infinite parts 1 through 3. So the first 3 parts of the Infinite crossover event. So that's what's coming up here inside the pull bag. Find me on Twitter at TFG1Mike. You can follow the pull bag on Twitter at the pull bag. Check us out, geekcastradio.com. Comment, listen, all that good stuff. Make your great escape into comics, and I will catch you next time.
Tune in next week for a much better episode. For now, though, courage.